In the beginning years of the 1970s, Pink Floyd were still considered a relatively underground group. After obtaining more mainstream attention with their 1972 concert film, Live at Pompeii, as well as their two biggest studio albums at the time, Atom Heart Mother and Meddle, the band defied all expectations when on March 1st, 1973, they unleashed their masterful tour de force, The Dark Side of the Moon, an album that would defy expectations, reap immeasurable accolades, and be seen as one of the greatest albums of all time in the passing years. Today, to kick off Pink Floyd Month, we're going to take a look.
The lunatic is on the grass.
When I first became a fan of Pink Floyd, I surprisingly took my time with what is considered their most accessible albums. I began my listening journey, if you will, with the 1977 album Animals, then their 1971 album Meddle, to give some perspective. It would end up being almost 1.5 years later before I finally took the opportunity to listen to The Dark Side of the Moon, and needless to say, I was knocked off my feet. I've always had a penchant for albums that are seamless, conceptual, or easy to listen to. This album is all of those in one. The opening track is Speak to Me, essentially nothing more than a build-up piece, which leads into the first official song, Breathe.
Breathe in the air. Don't be afraid to care.
One of my absolute favorite Floyd tracks ever. It's so simple, beautiful, and downright dreamy to listen to. The third track on the album, On the Run, is chaotic, anxious, and loud. A track about the pressures of travel, dominated by sounds of fast breathing, running shoes, an airport PA, and synths they override the song. A booming explosion closes out the piece, and we hear the familiar sound of clocks ticking begin to fade in. The song we are about to listen to is one of Pink Floyd's greatest works, Time.
Taking away the moments that make up the dull day. Fritter and waste the hours in an offhand way.
This is by far one of my favorite songs, not only on the album, not only by Pink Floyd, but also of all time. Another song dealing with an anxious issue, in this case, the feeling that time is going so quickly in our lives and around the world that we will run out of it and die before we are able to accomplish what we wish. It's one of Floyd's best songs, spearheaded by David Gilmour's intense and screeching guitar and dual vocals from both Gilmour and keyboardist Richard Wright. Nearly 7 minutes after the booming clocks introduced it, the intensity of time begins to fade into the piano-laden fifth track, The Great Gig in the Sky. Again, this is another one of my favorite songs on the album, although many people I've spoken to could do without it. A song about death and life itself, it's one of the few Floyd songs that evokes a genuinely emotional reaction from me. Led by guest vocalist Claire Torrey, who screams her way through the song, it sounds like a song of defeat, although it is far from it. Now, gotta be real here, it's time for us to cover probably the most well-known track on this album, Money.
Money! Get away. Get a good job with more pay and you're okay.
And again, I'm going to be honest about something here, alright? I'm going to be open with you. This is definitely my least favorite song on the entire album. Why? Because in my opinion, it is so overplayed and overhyped, and I really do not understand why people praise this song as something so brilliant. It feels like a groovier and less depressing version of Time. Obviously, this time it's about money instead of time, but I don't get the appeal of it. I really don't. It's a good song, but it's not amazing, and radio stations play this song way too much. It's just, they play the song way too much. Anyway, afterwards, we begin Us and Them. You know what's coming, right? Again, this is one of my favorite songs on the album.
And them. And after all, we're only ordinary men.
The concept of this song is yet again surrounding death and war as well. one of the Floyd's longest tracks, clocking in at nearly 8 entire minutes. Us and Them is the beginning of the end of The Dark Side of the Moon, as from this point on, we follow not only the last 3 tracks, but also some of the cleanest and seamless songs ever made. Any Color You Like, an instrumental piece that combines both synth and guitar together in a swirling blend of soothing chaos, is one of my least understood songs on this album. It's generally liked, and I think I like it. It's a good song, but I don't know why people make it out to be so legendary or incredible. In my opinion, it feels more like a bridge between Us and Them in the last 2 tracks of the album. But speaking of those last 2 tracks of the album, here's the meat and potatoes, ladies and gentlemen, at least in my opinion anyway. The boys in Floyd decided to close out their masterwork with the best possible songs. Tracks 9 and 10, meant to be played as one song, Brain Damage and Eclipse, are like a journey through a psychotic mind, complete with lyrics like The Lunatics Are in My Head.
The lunatic is in my head. The lunatic is in my head.
Accompanied by terrifying laughter, courtesy of Peter Watts, Floyd's road manager. And all that's just in Brain Damage. Let's talk about Eclipse for a little bit here.
And all that is now, and all that is gone, and all that's to come, and everything under the sun is in June, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon.
Eclipse is a chaos-fueled frenzy, tacked with dual vocals from Roger Waters and David Gilmour, intense lyrical content, and it isn't even 2 minutes long. This is one of the shortest songs that Pink Floyd's ever done, but it's also one of their best. I remember hearing this song for the first time being blown away. It should be way longer, but even the way it is right now, at only 1 minute and 30 seconds of actual music, it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. At the end of it all, the sound of a heartbeat plays the album out to completion, and we hear a man say,
"There is no dark side in the moon, really. Matter of fact, it's all dark."
Well, at this point, there isn't much for me to say, really. I've said all I can, as I've spoken on this album before in text format but never over a video. It's kind of hard to repeat yourself when you're talking about an album that isn't extremely fresh in your mind, but you've heard almost 100 times. Speaking of which, The Dark Side of the Moon, even nearly 100 listens later, still manages to find ways to impress me and show me that truly, some albums were destined to be masterpieces. With that, I give Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon a 10 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, it's greatly appreciated. Hope you guys are excited for Pink Floyd Month as much as I am. This is going to be a 6 video long month. I'm going to make sure they're all out by the end of April, then I'm probably going to stop uploading on schedule again. I'm not going to go back to uploading videos every couple of days. I'm going to pretty much make a video when I want to make a video. Mostly because I have a very big video coming out in June that I do have to record ahead of time. And it's going to be a long video. Hopefully it's going to be long anyway. I don't really know. But if everything goes the way I think it's going to go, we're going to be all good. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys in the next review. Keep your eyes peeled for the next review. And I'll see you guys in the next Pink Floyd Month video. Take care.